the top of the first inning.
When Ryan threw that no-hitter against the Dodgers, the curveball was the real devastating pitch. He was up around 97 miles an hour, but that's not unusual for him.
First pitch is a strike ball, and we're underway. Lopes batting .206. One.
Pretty good-looking curveball there. Might have been just a little bit high.
Strike, and the count goes to 1-2.
You can see what happens to a hitter facing Ryan. That time Lopes kind of looking for the fastball, and he was just way out in front of that curveball.
Low that time. 2-2.
Yeah, Ryan's got 2 strikes, and the 2 pitches that he has missed with have both been very close.
By the mound, Garner, second base. Good play to Cedeno, and Lopes is out. Lopes opens the ball game with a bouncer by the mound, thrown out Garner to Cedeno. And here's Ken Landreau. Astros Cedeno at first, Garner second, Kiko Garcia at short, and Art Howe at third. And in the outfield, Cruz in left, Scott in center, Poole in right, with Ashby doing the catching. Ball 1 the count to Landreau. 2 of his 7 home runs have come against the Astros this year.
Had a good series.
Rule and Nepper.
Good series out in L.A. for Landreau. He had been in a real bad slump, and he broke out of it.
By the mound, base hit to center. He finished the regular season with 98 hits.
Number 12, left fielder, Dusty.
And here's Dusty Baker, who finished with 128 hits for the year, 4th best in the National League, and he is the 3rd leading hitter in the league with a .320 average. Ball 1 to Baker.
Ken Landreau with 1 foot out on the carpet has got a pretty good lead against Ryan.
Ryan goes over there, and Landreau is back. Landreau has 2 steals against the Astros in as many attempts. Landreau goes, and Baker hits foul ball down the left side. So the Dodgers starting the runner that time. Count goes to 1-1. Baker, 32 years old.
Could have been a hit and run there because he swung at a pitch that looked like it was out of the strike zone. Astros have done a little bit better job this year throwing out base runners who are attempting to steal. They've thrown out about 48% of them, or 38% of them this year, as opposed to only about 24 last year.
Ryan back to Cedeno, and Landreau is back in. Baker finished up hitting safely in 16 of his last 20 games for a .391 average to close the year over that 3-week stretch. Takes a strike. 1-2.
The reason you see hitters looking bad against Ryan a lot of times, that time Baker leaning out of the plate looking for a curveball and the fastball inside, is they guess a lot against Ryan, probably more than any other pitcher. If you just look for the ball, you're going to be in trouble against both pitches.
Downer back to the hill. Ryan, shortstop Garcia 1, Cedeno double play. Good play by Garcia in the middle of that double play. It goes 1-6 to 3, and the Dodgers are out in the first inning. Bottom of the first coming up. No score. Astros will have Terry Poole to lead off against Valenzuela. Ball strike. Poole hit .251 for the year. One ball, one strike.
Valenzuela features the fastball, curveball, and screwball. He'll use the curveball mostly against left-handers, the screwball against the right-handers.
Tap up the right side foul. Bob Lillis, the Astros first base coach, with the pickup.
Terry Poole had that outstanding championship series last year in which he hit over 500. He's been struggling off and on through this year, and I bet you Terry's got some memories of that championship series last year and hoping he can put it together again for this one.
2-2 the count.
I think a lot of people earlier in the year underestimated Valenzuela's fastball. He's got pretty good velocity, but boy, he keeps it right on the corner.
Breaking ball, bouncer right side, fair ball, and Garvey makes the play unassisted. So Poole bounces out to first to open the Astro half of the first. It'll bring up the second baseman, Phil Garner.
Take another look at this windup. Valenzuela looks to the sky in the middle of his windup. He looks to the roof of the Astrodome here and then comes back down, but you can see he picks up the plate before he throws the ball.
Here's Garner. A little late, strike one. One ball, one strike the count.
That's a look at the screwball, and he'll throw that a couple of different speeds. He threw that one pretty hard. It'll break away from the right-handed hitter. Pitch you don't see very often.
Count moves to 1-2.
I think one of the things that makes the screwball so effective is the fact that the hitters are just not familiar with it. It looks strange when a guy throws left-handed and throws a pitch that breaks away from you. It doesn't really break any better than a curveball. It's just a very unusual pitch.
Count is even. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Garner's out on strikes, the first one for Valenzuela tonight.
Yeah, they got him with the screwball. Garner was able to lay off a couple of screwballs that broke outside. That one, too, broke out of the strike zone, but Garner swung at it.
There's Ron Perinoski, the first-year pitching coach for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Perinoski used to give you a pretty good assortment of pitches.
He certainly did.
Here's Tony Scott now. Call strike. Perinoski was known to turn the baseball over.
Yes, he was. He had a big looping curveball, a little screwball. He'd move the fastball around. He wasn't quite as hard as Valenzuela.
Scott's behind the Dodger left-hander, 2 strikes.
But I think he threw just about the same assortment of pitches. I think another thing that's unusual about this young man is that mostly when you see a screwball pitcher, it's a veteran, a guy that's been around a while. It takes a little while to develop that pitch, and quite unusual to see a young guy throw it.
Scott, who's out on strikes, caught looking, and that retires the side. 1-2-3. Ball game moves into the second inning. We have no score. On to the second inning from the Astrodome tonight. No score. First game of the National League Western Divisional Championship Series.
Number 6, first base.
Steve Garvey, Rick Monday, and Pedro Guerrero for Los Angeles against Nolan Ryan. There's Astros skipper Bill Verdon, flanked by Mel Wright to his right. Strike call to Garvey.
Another real fine year for Garvey. He's up around the league leaders in RBIs and runs scored.
Two strikes now, the count.
Garvey a little bit down in batting average from his career statistics, 283. But he's still producing those runs, 64 RBIs and 63 runs scored.
Looper to right, and Terry Poole is there to grab it. A looping line drive out there. Garvey's the first out.
Number 16, right
They'll bring up right fielder Rick Monday. All Monday.
Blaine, you mentioned earlier that Ryan coming off of 3 complete games. That could help him. That proves that he's in a good groove and he's been pitching very consistently. But it also could mean that maybe he'll have trouble going the distance tonight. He might be a little arm-weary.
Right, here's Monday. Monday's been a big extra base hitter for this Los Angeles ball club. Ball 1 the count.
Yeah, with the trade of Ken Landreau over to the Dodgers, Monday did not see much action in the first half, but since Ron Say has been hurt, he's been playing quite a bit as Guerrero has moved to third, and he's really been producing.
Ryan falls behind him, 2-0. Ryan gave up the one-out single to Landreau in the first inning and got the double play out of Baker. Garvey is lined to right. The count on Monday is 2-0. Monday finished the year hot. Ryan is behind him, 3-0. Monday over the past 2.5 weeks or so hit .415, gathering 17 hits and 6 of them were home runs. Ryan misses for ball 4. So Monday's on.
28, third baseman.
We'll bring up Pedro Guerrero.
This guy hit the Astros about as well as any Dodger this year. Hit .351 against them with 7 RBIs.
He did drive in more runs against the Astros than any other Los Angeles hitter. He hit well against everybody. Curveball, and Ryan misses. Ashby thought he had a strike.
Well, it'd be pretty hard to throw a curveball in a location that looked any better than that. I don't know where else it could be. If there's no strike zone there, where is it?
Foul ball out of play. 1-1. That's what Ashby was asking Jay Dale.
Sometimes I think the umpires even guess on Ryan a little bit. His stuff is just so awesome that as a hitter, if you guess fastball and he throws a curve, forget it, and vice versa. But if you just stand there and don't guess and wait to see the ball, it's too late then, too. So just about have to guess and hope you guess right.
Check swing and a bouncer foul. 1-2.
Of course, against Ryan, you've got about a 50% chance of guessing right because he's basically a fastball, curveball pitcher. He'll mix in an occasional changeup, maybe throw 5 or 6 of them during the course of the game, but you can normally guess fastball or curve and got a 50% chance of being right. Problem is, even when you're right, he's hard to hit.
Dodgers with Monday at first, and Guerrero's out on strike. First strikeout for Nolan Ryan. Two gone in the inning, and the catcher Mike Socia will be the hitter.
Number 14,
One of the things that I think has marked Nolan's recent success is his command of that outside corner. That was a beautiful strikeout pitch to Guerrero.
Socha, the young catcher. Ball one. Socha this year has emerged as the first string catcher for the Dodgers, unseating Steve Yeager. And of course, Joe Ferguson had been released and later signed on with California. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, you wouldn't know it by looking at him, but Socha basically just a contact hitter and pretty much a singles hitter. He had just 10 doubles and 2 home runs. That's all the extra base hits he had during the course of the season, but he doesn't strike out much. He usually puts the ball in play.
Pops this one up. It's a foul ball. Howell's going to chase it along with Ashby, but it's going to be out of play. So Ryan's ahead of the Los Angeles catcher, 1-2. Shot from overhead.
You don't get that shot in too many stadiums.
Foul ball straight back and out of play. Count holds at 1 ball, 2 strikes. Is out on strikes. Ashby down to Cedeno. Complete to put out, and that retires the side. No runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left. Bottom of the 2nd inning coming up. Cruz, Cedeno, and Howe do for the Astros. No score. Jose Cruz will open the bottom of the 2nd inning. Cruz, Cedeno, and then Howe. Dodgers are the only hit so far. The Astros went down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 1st inning against Valenzuela. Valenzuela picked up a strikeout of Garner and of Scott in that 1st inning. Valenzuela 2-1 against the Astros this year after going 1-0 last year. Astros went 26 2/3 innings against Valenzuela before they ever managed to score a run off him, and that was the last time out when they beat him 4-1. Jose Cruz, fly ball to left field on the 1st pitch, and Dusty Baker's there. 1 out.
Sometimes, Dwayne, it seems that the left-handed hitters get better swings at Valenzuela than the right-handers do, the screwball being such a devastating pitch against right-handed hitters.
Here's Cedeno. Cedeno came on and managed to hit left-handers better than right-handers, and that would ordinarily be the case for a right-handed hitter, except through the years, Cedeno has always managed to hit better against right-handed pitching than he has left-handed pitching. He finished the year at 271 overall and 317 against left-handers.
And 400 against Valenzuela. About the only guy on the Astros ball club and in the starting lineup tonight who has had any success at all against Valenzuela. He is 4 for 10 this year.
Notice Valenzuela, after Cedeno had taken his time getting in, Valenzuela then stepped down off the mound and rubbed up the baseball. Even though he's 20 years old, he'll enter into those games of attempted intimidation. Ball 1, the count to Cedeno. Swing and a miss, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, the Astrodome, a very spacious ballpark, and it's difficult to hit one out of here. That time, Cedeno gave it a little extra. He was trying to go deep.
2-1. Cedeno hit well against LA this year. Generally against the Dodgers, he's played pretty well.
He certainly has. It seems that he plays better against the tougher teams. He's played real well over against the Reds over the years as well.
3-1 the count. Art Howe will be next. We're in the bottom half of the second inning. 1 out. Bases empty. 3-1 the count on Cedeno. Cesar went around. That's going to be strike 2. He's halfway to first. And Jerry Dale says he went around. We'll take another look.
Yeah, well, he certainly crossed the plate with that bat.
Full count on him. A little piece of that one and fouled it away. Valenzuela. They list him at 180 pounds. 5'11". You go for that?
Well, if that's the way they list him, I guess I'll have to.
High the mound. Into center field. Base hit. So Cedeno bounces a base hit through the middle. And that's the first Astros hit of the game. One on, one out, and here's Art Howe.
Good look at Bill Verdon there. He picked up his 800th managerial victory, the last game of the season in Los Angeles.
Valenzuela goes over to Garvey. Cedeno is back in.
Cedeno still troubled a little bit with that ankle problem and has not attempted that many steals this year.
Oh, 1 to Howe. No score in this game. Dodgers have had base runners in each of the first 2, and the Astros have just come up with their first base runner. 1 out single in the second inning by Cedeno.
Cedeno has stolen 12, been caught 7 times.
He is 2 of 2 against the Dodgers in the steal department. Valenzuela again to first, and Cedeno is back.
Cedeno finding it hard to time Valenzuela. On the last pitch to the plate, he was breaking back to first. That time he started to go towards second and had to jump back to first at the last minute.
Another move over there. Crowd beginning to become impatient with Valenzuela. Want to know the count on Howe. Another toss to first. One more time. Valenzuela
continues.
Paying about as much attention to Cedeno as anybody we've seen.
And of course, he thinks Cedeno is running on his own. They don't think they have the Astros signs or anything. Cedeno is free to run on his own.
Now fly ball right center, not deep. Monday under it. 2 gone. So Cedeno heads back to first. He's there with 2 outs. and Kiko Garcia coming up.
Well, if he thought Cedeno was going to be running with one out, he's positive he's going to be running now with 2 out and Garcia up there. Garcia basically a singles hitter, and Cedeno would love to be on second base just in case he gets one.
Garcia takes the pitch out. Cedeno is back at first base. So the Dodgers doing a little guessing, and Cedeno had a notion about going. You'll see him here break toward second, then he sees the pitch out and decides to stop and try to scramble back to first. Good slide by Cedeno, getting in head first with that right hand on the bag, away from the tag. Cedeno's gone, got a pretty good jump. Strike to Garcia, and Cedeno is safe at second.
You know, Dwayne, it looks like his ankle feels a lot better tonight.
We'll take another look.
Boy,
he did manage to get a pretty good jump on Valenzuela, something that has been a little difficult to do for him.
Yeah, he had an excellent jump that time. Good throw by Socia and an unbelievable pitch by Valenzuela. Screwball on the outside corner. He'd been doing nothing but throwing to first, and when he finally did throw home, he threw a perfect pitch.
Tap to third, Guerrero up with it. Cross to Garvey, and that retires the side. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and a man left. Ball game moves on to the third. Russell, Valenzuela, and then Lopes due for L.A. No score. Dodger shortstop Bill Russell will open the third. First pitch is a ball. Russell batting .233 with 22 runs batted in. Let's pause here. 5 seconds for station identification. This is the Astros Baseball Network. One and 0 the count. 2-0.
This is a situation where Ryan really needs to bear down and try to get Russell out. A tendency is to let up after facing the tough part of the lineup, but they're coming around again soon.
Picks up a strike there. It's 2-1 with Russell taking all the way.
I think one of the secrets to winning games is to getting the weak hitters out. It's like winning pennants. You got to beat the weak teams.
Astros want the appeal. It's not coming, though, and the count goes to 3-1.
I'm surprised they needed one. It looked like a pretty good pitch.
Ryan walked Monday with 1 out in the second inning. He's behind Russell 3-1, and now goes to 3-2 with it. Russell, pop up. Left side toward the bullpen. Foul ball. Garcia back there makes the catch. Kiko Garcia, the Astros shortstop tonight, takes care of that pop up in foul territory. Here's Fernando Valenzuela.
This guy can hit.
He has 16 hits for the year.
2 of those RBIs are game winners.
7 RBIs on 16 hits. Pretty good production. Into the seats, foul, strike 1.
Yeah, we got one gentleman down there very happy with a souvenir. Some others that are quite relieved.
Late that time, Valenzuela was. 2 strikes. In the third. Tapper back to the hill. Ryan has it. And over to Cedeno, and Valenzuela is the second out in the third inning.
To look at the girders, the metal framework that supports the roof here at the Astrodome. Quite an amazing structure. No, it's hard to believe, Dwayne, that it was built in 1964.
Well, built at a bargain price, nevertheless. Davey Lopes, top of the batting order, fouls it away, strike one. There's a great concept and a super facility all the way around, especially for spectators. Line drive to first, and Cedeno takes care of it. So we move into the bottom half of the third inning. We are still scoreless. Astro half of the third inning coming up, and Alan Ashby will open it against Valenzuela. Ashby, Ryan, and then Poole. Ashby takes it. It's a ball. Ashby with a 271 average overall, and he really came around as a right-handed batter. Of course, you know, Allen, a switch hitter. 2-0 the count.
This is actually one of Allen's rare starts against a left-handed pitcher, and he earned it during the second half by hitting well right-handed. A bit of a surprise, I think, though, with Allen in the lineup. Louis Pujols has been doing most of the catching against left-handed pitchers.
2-1. Ashby hit .306 over the last month of the season, and he wound up hitting an even .300 against right-handed or against left-handed pitching. 2-2 the count.
Give you some idea of why this 20-year-old left-hander is so effective. He was 2-0 with the eighth hitter in the lineup, and he threw him two breaking pitches for strikes.
Ground ball, shortstop, Russell to Garvey, one gone. So Ashby's out short to first, and Astro pitcher Nolan Ryan will come up there.
The pitcher, number 34.
Ryan batting .216 with 11 hits. One. Tomorrow afternoon at 12:05. Game 2. Two and 0 the count. A couple of veterans hooked up in that ball game tomorrow. Nolan decided to go for the downs.
Yes, he did. Got a fastball and tried to ride it out of here, but couldn't connect. Valenzuela has walked just slightly less than 3 batters per 9 innings.
2-2 the count.
He might walk a few more if the hitters would give him a chance, but some of those pitches look so inviting that they swing at him. By the time the ball gets there, it's out of the strike zone.
Ryan is out on strikes. That's the third strikeout for Valenzuela. He got Garner and Scott in the first inning. Now Ryan for the second out in the third. So the bases are empty with 2 outs, and the Astros will have the top of the order coming up.
Here comes the screwball. The ball actually has a reverse rotation, almost the opposite of what the curveball would have.
Poole grounded out to Garvey his first time. Strike one. Valenzuela's last win, 2-0 over the Atlanta Braves on the 17th of September. Ground ball, second baseman Davy Lopes to Garvey, and the Astros go down 1-2-3 in the third inning. Rolling on to the fourth, Dodgers nothing, Astros nothing. Fourth inning coming up. Nolan Ryan has struck out 2 and walked 1 through the first 3, and he's given up 1 hit.
And fortunately, his pitching has been much better than his hitting was that last time up.
Now.
Leading off for the Dodgers in the fourth inning, the center fielder, 44.
He'll be facing Ken Landreau, Dusty Baker, and then Steve Garvey in the Los Angeles fourth. Landreau picked up the base hit. The Dodgers have a single to center field in the first. And he starts the fourth with a ball high and outside. Called strike. Two and one. Landreau coming over from the American League. 2-2. Outfield not too deep with Landreau up there. Cruz in left and Scott in center, playing him around the opposite side. And Poole not quite straight away in right, but a little closer to being straight away than Cruz and Scott. One hopper for Phil Garner at second. Costa Cedeno is in time, and Landreau is the first out in the Dodger fourth.
Well, he hit the ball well. Lopes hit the ball well to end the last inning. A line drive to Cedeno, but both of them retired. And Ryan, it seems like in the last few innings, is either pitching the guy very well and getting the weak shots, or else when they hit it hard, it goes right to somebody.
Here's Dusty Baker. Strike call. One and one.
There's a changeup. That's the first one he's thrown tonight. It's the fourth inning.
Well, one about every 4 innings or so. That's about right.
Just enough to keep him honest.
1-2.
Follows that with a fastball up and in, and Baker fails to get around on it. He's not the first guy that's failed to get around on a Ryan fastball up and in.
You know, just the changeup, and then coming back with a fastball. You know, Ryan set that up. He just presents Baker with a certain mindset after showing him something off speed and then coming close with the fastball. Bouncer for Garcia. To Cedeno. Baker is the second out.
Sometimes the pitcher will do that intentionally. He'll maybe have a third best pitch, be it a curveball, a slider, a changeup, whatever it is. If it's not a real good pitch for him, he may throw it out of the strike zone on purpose. He doesn't want to throw it for a strike. He doesn't want the hitter to have a chance to hit it. He just wants to show it to him and make him think about it a little bit.
Here's Steve Garvey. Ball one. Then once you start thinking about anything off speed against a fellow like Ryan, you're in big trouble.
I think if I went up there, I'd just guess fastball and strike out on anything else.
2-0. Are you saying you wouldn't strike out on the fastball?
I was just getting ready to say that's not to say that I wouldn't strike out on a fastball, but I'd at least have my rips on it.
Ground ball. Look at that. Ryan to Cedeno, and that retires the side. 8 straight retired by Ryan. Bottom of the 4th inning coming up, no score. Bottom of the 4th inning, the Astros with another look at Valenzuela. Phil Garner will lead off. Garner, Scott, and then Cruz. 1 hit off Valenzuela. Single to center by Cedeno with 1 out in the 2nd inning.
Garner's been doing a reasonably good job getting on base, even though he's only hitting around 250 this year. He's been picking up quite a few walks since hitting out of that 2nd slot for the Astros.
Ground ball. Russell. That's short. To Garvey. So Garner on the first pitch in the 4th inning bounces out, bringing up Tony Scott. Scott was called out on strikes his first time. Bounces this one to Guerrero. Guerrero across to Garvey, 2 gone. Guerrero has handled both chances he's had tonight. Ground ball by Garcia and that one by Scott. Neither of them especially difficult, but he has had his problems at third base since filling in for the injured Ron Say.
The problems we saw him have were mostly on the routine balls. He made a couple of good plays on chances.
Jose Cruz up there, and he takes a strike. Cruz flied out to Baker and left in the 2nd inning. He's behind now, 2 strikes.
Look at that Valenzuela curveball. It's actually a bigger breaking pitch than the screwball, and I think a little bit slower pitch.
And Cruz called out on strikes in a quick inning. Astros down 1-2-3, and we move into the 5th, scoreless. Moving into the 5th inning, no score, just 1 hit for the Dodgers and 1 hit for the Astros. Nolan Ryan and Fernando Valenzuela hooked up. Well, we've seen some great shots of the Astrodome tonight. You can take a guided tour of the Astrodome and get a real inside look at this modern wonder. Tour times are 11 a.m., 1 p.m., and 3 p.m. Cost is just $2.50 per person. Children 6 years and under are admitted free. Guided tours of the Astrodome 3 times daily, 11 a.m., 1 p.m., and 3 p.m.
Leading off in inning number 5 for Los Angeles, number 16, Rick Monday.
Rick Monday. Monday will open the 5th inning. Monday walked in the 2nd. The Dodgers right fielder. Foul ball back, strike 1.
This is the type of guy you really want to be careful with, because he has been swinging the hot bat and he does have power. And so you kind of pitch around guys like that. You've got the end of the Dodger lineup coming up behind Monday. Not to say that they're weak hitters, but he's the hot bat.
Ryan went right after him that time, and Monday overmatched.
Actually, that's the best place to pitch Rick Monday. If you've got a good fastball, and obviously Ryan does, you want to stay up and in on him. He hits the ball away from him real well. He hits the ball left center real well and with distance. And he hits the off-speed pitches and breaking balls pretty well. If you can handcuff him with a good fastball, I think that's about your best bet.
2 strikes the count. Up and in, he missed. 1-2.
There's a look at Houston Mayor Jim McCann, seated behind the Astros dugout. No question about which team he supports tonight.
I hope not. 2-2 the count.
Ryan up there after him again.
So that's the 3rd strikeout for Nolan. First out in the 5th inning. He's retired 9 in a row now.
Take a look at this swing by Monday. You can see the power he generates, but you can also see that he was just a little bit tardy.
This is Pedro Guerrero. Breaking ball to Dandy. Ball strike. Ryan, during his no-hitter, had his fastball clocked up around 97 miles per hour. Breaking ball, 1-1, and his curveball was sub-90.
But it was also a real wicked, sharp breaking curveball, and he was able to throw it even when he was behind in the count, and that was the key to the no-hitter.
And to have a curveball below 90 is not unusual. Matter of fact, it's generally going to be much slower than the fastball. There's a dandy curve right there. It's 1-2.
I would say to have a curveball 90 or better would be most unusual. In fact, a few guys, J.R. Richard and well, I don't know of anybody else. He's been known to throw his slider at 90 or a little bit better, but the curveball is a little bit slower pitch than the slider.
Into right center field, Tony Scott on the run for this one. And he got it. 2 gone. Mundy strikes out. Guerrero flies out.
Guerrero shows me a little bit of something, even hitting that ball that far after seeing those 2 great curveballs. He hit that one, a fastball, right off the outside corner and hit it pretty well.
He's probably so glad just to see a fastball that he hit it so well. Here's Scioscia. Ball 1. Dodgers picked up their hit on the 1st. 1-out single by Landreau. Only other base runner that Ryan has allowed Monday with a 1-out walk in the 2nd inning. Picks up a strike on the corner to Scioscia. It's 1-1. So Nolan so far tonight has pretty much picked up where he left off his last time out against this ball club. 2-1.
Here's another changeup.
Nolan's last outing was Thursday when he beat the Reds in Cincinnati 8-1. Picking up 9 strikeouts and walking 3, allowing the run on 7 hits. Scioscia gets a hold of that one. Poole all the way back on the track, and he hauls it in to retire the side. Scioscia laid into that one, but Poole got it. 1-2-3 again. Bottom half of the 5th coming up. No score. Bottom of the 5th inning. Cesar Cedeno will open for the Astros. He'll be followed by Art Hound and Kiko Garcia. No score. Just 2 hits in the ball game. 1 for each club. Cedeno has that hit for the Astros. Bounces this one into the stands. Foul ball, strike one. To the count.
Well, it seems simple for Socha. All you do is call for a pitch and stick your glove up, and the next thing you know, the ball's in it.
One and two. Valenzuela threw only 5 pitches in the 4th inning. 1-2 to Cedeno, misses, and the count goes to 2-2.
Cedeno actually looked pretty comfortable up there against Valenzuela. A lot of the Astros hitters seem a little tentative or perhaps even a little bit intimidated, but Cedeno at least gives the appearance that he thinks he can hit him.
Full count on Cedeno.
A good shot of that screwball there. You can kind of get a feeling for what it's like to face Nolan Ryan or Valenzuela when you get that low home plate camera angle. Obviously, the ball approaches you much faster when you're in the batter's box than it appears to on that camera shot, but you can get an idea of how the ball breaks.
And here's the 3-2 to Cedeno. Fly ball, short left. Baker coming in. One gone. Well, both Valenzuela and Ryan have strings now. Nolan has retired the last 11 men he has faced. And that's 9 in a row for Valenzuela. We'll bring up Art Howe. Now flied out to right his first time. Dodgers play him around a little bit to pull the ball. 0-1.
Yeah, pretty good indication of the two managers there.
1-1 to count.
See Bill Burden just looking on passively, and Tommy Lasorda clapping his hands, exhorting his team to keep it going.
Now had an idea but laid off. That pitch darted down and away. And the count is now 2-1. Into right field, going to be in for a base hit. Monday with the pickup. So the Astros have a base runner. Second hit of the ball game.
Just getting a runner on base against Valenzuela is an accomplishment tonight. He has had excellent control, good breaking stuff.
And at first with one out, and here's Kiko Garcia.
That time Art Howe did what you're going to have to do to hit that screwball. He went with it and hit it to right field. Very difficult pitch to pull and do so with any authority.
Ball out of play. One strike. No score. Valenzuela threw 8 shutouts this year to lead the major leagues in that department. Count goes to 1-1 on Garcia. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. There's Howe at first.
The Dodgers were set up in double play depth, and Valenzuela likely to try to keep the ball down in the strike zone and try to go with a lot of breaking stuff, breaking down to try for the ground ball in the double play.
Ground ball outside the bag at third, foul. The count is 1-2. The 8 shutouts by Valenzuela this year tied a major league rookie record. Buell Russell of the 1913 Chicago White Sox threw 8 shutouts. And Valenzuela, in the 25 starts he made this year, came up with 8. To Garcia. Just a little piece of it to stay alive. Just 3 hits in this game. Valenzuela has walked no one. Ryan has walked just 1 man. To Garcia. Astros skipper Bill Verdon flashing a few signals. Out to third base coach Don Leppard.
Hard to imagine what it might be in this situation. I don't think the Astros would send Art Howe.
Howe is picked off at first base. Well, they got out there a little too far, and perhaps the Astros had ideas of maybe the hit and run.
You can see it. Art Howe starts to break. They obviously did have ideas about hitting and running. Don't have to worry about that now. Art Howe, about the last guy you figure would get picked off, but Valenzuela showing that not only does he have nice moves toward the plate, he's got a good move to first, too.
So the bases are empty, 2 gone, and the 2-2 pitch to Garcia. Strike 3 tires the side. Well, we've completed 5 innings in the Astrodome tonight. First game of the Western Division playoff. No score. On to the 6th inning, and Bill Russell will open. Russell, Valenzuela, and then Lopes against Nolan Ryan. So far, Larry, the game has been exactly as billed. A big pitching pair-up.
Yes, it certainly has. Of course, with the Astros, 2 hits, no walks. The Dodgers with 1 hit and a walk. Each have had 2 base runners, and the crowd right now like a slumbering giant. There's nothing to cheer about.
Russell popped out into foul territory his last time up there with Kiko Garcia making the catch. Fouls this one out of play. Strike 1. Ryan has retired 11 in a row as we start the 6th. Ground ball, 1 hop to Garcia. To Cedeno, 12 in a row. And out number 1 in the 6th.
Ryan got away with another hanging curveball. Russell hit it pretty well, but right at Kiko Garcia.
Here's the pitcher, Valenzuela. He went out pitcher first in the 3rd.
It's a pretty healthy rip, doesn't he?
Headed out of play.
Well, Dwayne, the last time he got him 2 strikes, he came with the curveball, and Valenzuela hit a weak chopper back to the mound. I'll bet he's going to go with the fastball this time, up high. What do you think?
Challenge the hitter. All right, we'll go fastball. And he missed 1 and 2. Now will he come back curveball or fastball?
Fastball.
You got him. Call, strike 3. That's the 4th strikeout for Ryan. 2 have been called third strikes. And it'll bring up the top of the order, Dave Lopes. Lopes is nothing out of 2. Lopes didn't know what to do with that pitch. Strike 1.
Well, he saw those fastballs to Valenzuela, and he thought, well, maybe he'll throw me one. Guess again.
1 and 1. Breaking ball. 2 and 1. Ryan has been a lot of fun to watch this year because he's been so methodical and he's had such command of his pitches. Back into the screen. 2-2.
Say it's been a lot of fun to watch at home. Visiting teams and their fans have not enjoyed watching him too much as the Astros have toured around the National League.
Lopes out on strikes. 14 in a row. Retired by Ryan. Bottom of the 6th coming up. Ashby, Ryan, and Poole do. No score. Alan Ashby will open the bottom half of the 6th inning. Ashby, the number 8 hitter in the lineup tonight, followed by Ryan and then Terry Poole. Not much doing against either pitcher. Now you see what Ashby has done over the last month. Finished the season with a .271 average overall. Ball 1. Valenzuela, through 5 innings, has thrown 59 pitches. Two and nothing. Ryan, through 6 innings, has thrown 73.
Astros are not a very good walking ball club, but Alan Ashby, one of their best at drawing the base on balls. He'd really like to get on first so that Ryan can sacrifice him over.
Valenzuela misses again. 3 balls, no strikes, the count. Three and 1. Dodgers play Ashby to pull the ball as a right-handed hitter. Valenzuela comes back and runs the count full. 3 and 2. Breaking ball, fly ball left field. It'll be easy for Dusty Baker. 1 gone.
Valenzuela doing everything that you would expect a veteran pitcher to do, and just a rookie. Sometimes it's really hard to remember that he is just a rookie the way he pitches. He came with the fastball 3 and 1. Ashby pretty much taking on 3 and 1 count, and he threw the fastball in there. And then when he got to 3-2 and he knew he was swinging, he came with the breaking pitch.
Nolan Ryan at the plate, and he swings and misses the first one. Strike 1.
Well, I'll tell you, you've got to have a lot of confidence in that breaking ball to throw it in that situation.
Strike 2. 0-2 now on Ryan. 1-2. This afternoon, Oakland defeated Kansas City 4-0 in the American League West. Ground ball for Bill Russell, and the throw to Garvey's in time. So Ashby and Ryan are retired in the Astros 6th. That'll bring up the top of the batting order Terry Poole. Poole giving Ryan plenty of time to get back in the Astros dugout after that last at bat. There's Gordy Platson as he gets a little throwing in for the Astros in the bullpen. He was added to the 25-man roster to replace the injured Don Sutton. Poole both times has pulled the ball, hit it on the ground, and he takes the ball. Grounded out to Lopes at second his last time up. First time up, he grounded out unassisted to Garvey at first. One. Down that right side, but foul.
The Dodgers play Terry Poole around the pole.
Between the single by Cedeno and the base hit by Howe. This pitch low and away, 2-2. The single in the second inning by Cedeno, and that fifth inning single by Howe. Valenzuela retired 9 in a row, then picked Howe off first and struck out Garcia to win the fifth. 2 outs, bases empty in the sixth, and the 2-2 pitch to Poole is a base hit. Garvey's hit. Monday will cut it off, and Poole's going to hold at first. Now, Poole had hopes of perhaps stretching that into a double, but ball not hit hard enough to get by Monday, and it gave him plenty of time to cut it off and keep it from going into the corner. So Poole pulls up at first and settles for a single, the third hit for the Astros off Valenzuela.
Another look at the swing. You can see Terry had the reach for that one and still pulled it. Dodgers playing him to pull, and that helped Monday get over there quickly.
A 2-out single to right, and here's Phil Garner. Pitch out, but the Astros aren't doing anything. So far, this game has taken shape about the same way that Valenzuela pitched against the Astros the last time they saw him here in the Astrodome. They really didn't get to him until the 7th inning of that game. 2 straight pitch outs now for the Dodgers, and they've been wrong both times. Poole drove in 2 of the 4 runs the Astros got off Valenzuela the last time out. And Terry is at first with a 2-out single here and a 2-0 count on Garner. There's Poole.
Terry not taking a real long lead, but the Astros could be hitting and running here. They could also just have Garner taking.
Garner on the bunt, fouls it. Bouncer right back over Jerry Dale's head. 2 balls and a strike to count.
And he had Pedro Guerrero playing back and figuring it was going to be difficult to drive Terry in from first base. He just tried to bunt, get himself on, and keep the rally going. If you can call a man on first and 2 outs a rally, it's about as close as we've had tonight.
Against these 2 pitchers, it may constitute a threat, at least, if not a rally. 2-1 on Garner. Valenzuela again to first. Poole picked up 22 steals this year. 3 of them against LA. 3 of 3 against the Dodgers in that category. Soft toss over there that time by Valenzuela.
Garvey holding Poole close. Garner's got a pretty good hole on that right side of the infield. I've seen him take a look down there a couple times.
Takes it too low. It's 3-1.
As a pitcher, you keep going to first to hold the runner close, but the Astros in this case, the offensive team, really don't mind it if he throws over to first a lot, because it might just distract him a little bit going home.
3-1 the count to Garner. There goes Poole, and Garner takes ball 4. Well, the Astros get the first walk off Valenzuela here in the 6th inning. Poole moves into second with Garner taking over at first. 2 outs, and Tony Scott will be the hitter. You know, Larry, Valenzuela had only 1 free ball count on a hitter going into the 5th inning. He had gone 3-2 to Cedeno in the 2nd before he gave up a base hit. And to open the 5th, he went 3-2 to Cedeno again, and he's had 2 3-ball counts in this inning.
He seems to be getting more and more careful as the game goes along, afraid that 1 run could beat him. That time he threw the curveball with a 3-1 count to Garner. And as I said before, you've got to have a tremendous amount of confidence in your breaking pitch to throw it in that situation.
Here's Scott. He's been called out on strikes, and he's bounced out to third. Swings and misses, strike 1. Tony finished the regular season at 264. 293 since coming to the Astros.
But only 220 against left-handed pitching. A little bit better hitter from the left side this year.
Pick-off play at second, and Poole is back with Lopes taking the peg.
Of course, there's a double motive to that. Obviously, they'd like to pick Terry Poole off, but they also want to hold him real close to second base to give the outfielders a chance in case of a base hit.
Drive foul. So that's strike 2. Scott out in front. Garner back to first. Poole back in at second.
Scott probably just a little bit better fastball hitter than he is a breaking ball hitter, and so he would figure to have his problems with Valenzuela. Managed to hit that one on the line, but he was still out front of it.
He's in the hole now. 0-2. Scott wants time. This is the first time tonight that either team has had more than 1 base runner on at the same time.
The Astros had Cedeno on second base in the 2nd inning. The Dodgers have yet to get anybody to second base.
Ashby's flied out. Ryan bounced out to short. Poole with a base hit. Garner walked. 2-2 now on Scott. Fans for the first time tonight are sensing that they have something possibly to cheer about here. appears nonchalant on the mound. The popper, short right center. Lopes out, might drop. It does. Base hit. Poole scores. Garner's going to go to third, and into second goes Scott, and the Astros lead 1-0.
Well, it wasn't much of a hit, but it got the job done. Tony Scott with a little blooper over second base. Davey Lopes got there, but just couldn't find it.
Single and an RBI. Garner to third. Scott into second on the throw home. A little looper into right center field, and the Astros lead 1-0.
You know, the interesting thing about that, Dwayne, is as you see Davey Lopes trying to find that little pop-up, if there were not 2 outs, Terry Poole would probably have to hold at second to see if that ball is going to be caught. Because there were 2 outs, he was able to run, and he was able to not have to hesitate, and that's what allowed him to score that run.
Dodgers start to get some action in the bullpen. Left-hander Terry Forster and right-hander Tom Niedenfuer begin to throw down the left field line as Tommy Lasorda pays Valenzuela a visit on the mound. Forster, the left-hander there, and Niedenfuer, the right-hander.
And you could see that Lasorda paid him very long visit on the mound. Long enough, he hopes, to allow Niedenfuer and Forster to get loose.
Astros have Jose Cruz coming up. Before he hits, we'll pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the Astros Baseball Network. Cruz in there, and the first pitch to him is too low, ball 1.
And now with the base open, Valenzuela can pitch around Cruz if he wants to, but with Cedeno on deck, I doubt if he really wants to.
Big chopper right side. Garvey's got it. He'll make the play himself, and that retires the side. But in the 6th inning, the Astros get a run on 2 hits, no errors, and 2 men were left on. At the end of 6, Astros 1, Dodgers nothing. Astros lead 1-0 as we move into the 7th. Ryan with 5 strikeouts and a walk through the first 6 innings. Landreau, Baker, and Garvey in the 7th for LA.
This ought to be a good test for him. Out of play. Ryan has retired 14 in a row. Of course, it's always very important to get that leadoff hitter in the inning out. Really, really reduces your chances of scoring when you've got nobody on and an out. One and one. Landreau picked up his hit in the first inning, and that's been it for the Dodgers. Outside of a 1-out walk in the Monday. Got that base hit, a hard ground ball up the middle, and next time up he hit a pretty sharp grounder to second base. 2-2 now. Ryan trying to pick up that outside corner for a called strike 3. Came in with the curveball, but didn't quite get back to the corner. And that's strikeout number 6. 3 in a row. He got Valenzuela and Lopes to end the 6th, and Landreau to open the 7th. Now Dusty Baker, the left fielder, will hit.
12, Dusty Baker.
Baker nothing out of 2. Breaking ball, ball 1.
Astros play Baker to pull, and they play him deep.
Curve, and that's in for a strike.
There's a look at Ryan's strikeouts. Obviously K, symbol for a strikeout, and just about everybody's scorebook.
Fly ball to right. Terry Poole is there to handle that one. That's 2 outs. So Ryan is breezing here through the middle and now into the late stages of the ball game. Base is empty and he faces Steve Garvey.
Of course, we all remember that series in Los Angeles last year where Astros pitchers were just phenomenal into the late innings of ball games, and then the Dodgers would either tie it or win it with 1 home run, and they have that same capability here, although the Astrodome, a very difficult home run ballpark.
Long drive to center field. Got back on the track, and the ball is a home run. It went over the orange line. It's back in play, but it's going to be a home run. And the game is tied 1-1. Satch Davidson went out from second base, out into center field to make sure, and the ball did go over the orange line, and Garvey has just tied it with a home run to left center field. More center than left center.
Boy, he's strong. That ball was not even hit that high into the air. Almost a line drive home run and into the deepest part of the Astrodome. Didn't make it by more than an inch or 2.
That's something. Ryan gave up only 2 home runs in 149 innings this year during the regular season. And that a hard line drive off the bat of Garvey and over the orange line for a home run.
Well, he's got some. He gives them up to good hitters. Schmidt, Horner, and now Garvey.
Monday, line drive. Cruz is there in left, and that retires the side. 1 run for the Dodgers in the 7th on 1 hit. Garvey's home run. We go into the bottom of the 7th. With the score tied, Dodgers 1, Astros 1. Cesar Cedeno will open the bottom of the 7th for the Astros with the score tied at 1-1. Cedeno, Art Howe, and Kiko Garcia. Ball 1 to Cedeno.
Dodgers are guarding the lines now, first and third.
Cesar with a base hit in the 2nd inning. Last time up, he hit a fly ball to Baker and left. Ground ball, fair ball. He got it by the bag at third. Into that bullpen, Baker with a throw back to second, not in time. Double by Cedeno.
I think that ball got by Guerrero more like a changeup than it did a ball smashed past him. He was standing no more than 2 feet from the line, and for some reason or other, he wasn't able to even touch the ball.
Here's another look. He just missed the ball, that's all.
He missed it.
So Cedeno opens the Astros 7th with a 2-base hit. And the Dodgers bullpen goes back to work. Dave Stewart, the right-hander, and Steve Howe, the left-hander. And here's Art Howe for the Astros, who singled his last time up. First time, he flied out to right.
He'll probably be trying to go to right field here and get Cedeno over to third base. Hopefully get a base hit that way, but if not, at least move the runner along.
Pitch is down, ball 1.
You know, Dwayne, on that double by Cedeno, Baker was playing him to pull and had the ball in time to have an outside shot at throwing Cedeno out at second, but he just for some reason or other got off a bad throw. It hit the ground about halfway to second base and just rolled in there.
We've seen him make some very bad throws the last couple of weeks of the season when the Astros and the Dodgers got together, and I don't know if he has a problem with his arm lately, but he's not throwing very well.
He might lately because he hasn't had in the past.
Now, looper to right field. Monday coming on. He got it. Now trying to drop that ball in front of Monday. And it stayed up just long enough for the Los Angeles right fielder to grab it.
Well, Howe did exactly what he was trying to do. Monday just made a nice play on it. And Cedeno going halfway to possibly be able to score if it dropped. Had to go back to second base. So Howe did too good a job almost there, and Cedeno left on second.
Here's Kiko Garcia. Ball one to Kiko.
Lopes cutting in behind Cedeno, trying to hold him close. Valenzuela looking back to see if perhaps the pickoff play might be on.
Pop up right side. Garvey over there, but it's going to be out of play on top of the Astros dugout. Cedeno at second base with a double. Cesar with 2 of the 5 hits the Astros have tonight. Howe has 1, Poole with 1, and Scott with the other one. Cedeno's going, fly ball to center. Landro back to make the catch, and Cedeno gets back in at second base. Garcia made a bid to get that ball over Landro's head, who played a shallow center. But he went back to make the catch, and Cedeno, who was already at third base, had to go back to second.
He made a pretty good call, too, because when he was at third base, he saw Landro going after the ball, and before Landro caught it, he started back to second. And at that time, it was still question in some people's mind, at least there was in mine, whether he was going to get it or not. But Cedeno guessed right.
Here's Ashby. Cedeno still at second now with 2 outs. They're going to walk him to get to Ryan. Well, you'd have to say this is a smart move on the part of the Dodgers here.
It might be the only move.
It'll be the second walk issued by Valenzuela, the first intentional pass tonight.
There are times when you could certainly argue either side of the intentional walk case, but in this case, I don't think there's any argument.
Tonight has struck out and grounded out to short. He has 11 hits this year. Finished off the season at .216.
You can bet he'll be bearing down in this situation.
Cedeno stealing third, and he does successfully. Cedeno with a steal of third. You can see Valenzuela. He didn't know what hit him.
Well, they caught me by surprise.
Dickie Thon did that against Valenzuela the last time the Astros saw him here in the Astrodome. He stole third, that is, and the reason he was able to steal third is that he got such a great jump off Valenzuela.
He takes a long time to deliver his pitches. He's got a pretty good move to first base. And so it probably would figure to be easier to steal third against him than it would steal second. I don't think Alan Ashby's going to be going anywhere.
Still no count on Ryan. There's Cedeno at third. And Ryan takes ball one.
Actually, when you think about it, the move Cedeno made is one of those moves that unless you're about 99% sure, you don't want to make it, because if he gets thrown out, then Ryan has to lead off the next inning.
Ground ball. Lopes to Russell with a force on Ashby, and that retires the side. Astros out in the seventh. They do not score. On to the eighth, tied 1-1. That round-the-clock gang from Happy Days are doing what they do best, bringing back the era of happy-go-lucky comedy on Channel 26. Don't miss the Fonz, Richie, and the whole gang for a blast from the past half hour of comedy. It's Happy Days again, 5 p.m., Monday through Saturday on Channel 26. Eighth inning. Astros and the Dodgers knotted up 1-1. Pedro Guerrero, the third baseman, will lead off for L.A., followed by Socha and Russell.
And the Dodgers have Steve Howe throwing in the bullpen now, so if they get to that pitcher spot and they've got something going, they might be thinking about pinch hitting this late in the game.
Strike one.
Guerrero is trying to get something going all by himself there.
Breaking ball, and Ryan misses. 1-1. Ryan got Guerrero looking in the second inning. Then he flied out to center in the fifth. Andy curveball. 1-2.
Steve Howe, he must be just about ready because he's just throwing very easily now.
Fly ball, left center field. Cruz on the run, still going hard on the track. He's got it. Cruz hauling in the long fly ball into left center off Guerrero's bat.
A little bit surprising that Cruz had to play that ball. It was way out toward left center and almost more toward center, but Tony Scott apparently shallow and around toward right couldn't get there. Cruz went a long way.
Going to bring up Mike Socha. Ground ball right side. Cedeno almost got hung up on that ball, but makes the play himself. And that's two gone. Back to that fly ball off Guerrero's bat that Cruz caught. It's one of the advantages the Astros have over most clubs is that all three of their outfielders, Cruz, Scott, and Poole, have all played center field and could be considered bona fide center fielders. Cruz came up as a center fielder. Scott, one of the best center fielders in baseball, and Poole can do a great job out there in center for you.
And all of them with great speed.
Here's Bill Russell. Ball strike.
I guess there may be some outfields that have equal speed with the Astros, or maybe perhaps some that are better, but not very many.
1-1 now. There's Valenzuela on deck.
You can tell he's nervous.
Russell fouling it straight back onto the screen. 2-2.
Just any time you get a pitcher with a bat in his hand, he's liable to be smiling. It's the one time you can go up there and anything you can do is great, and anything you don't do is just expected. of those can't lose situations.
Russell with a popper foul. Ashby with a look, but it's going to be out of play.
Bryant's gotten away with a few hanging curveballs tonight, but of course when you've got his kind of stuff, you're going to get away with some bad pitches. That was a hanger to Russell. The pitch Guerrero hit, curveball pretty much in the middle of the strike zone.
Lions up in the mid-90s in number of pitches thrown tonight. Breaking ball. He thought he had the strike there, and about half the Astro defense thought he did as well. I think everybody except maybe the outfield started to move toward the dugout on that pitch.
Let's have another look at it. Pretty close. You're not going to get that pitch every time. You'll get it once in a while.
Full count. Russell, popper into short center. Scott's there for this one. Dodgers are out in the 8th inning. 1, 2, 3. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Astros will have the top of the order due. We're all tied 1-1. Astros looking at Fernando Valenzuela with the top of the batting order. Poole, Garner, and Scott.
And the Dodgers still have Howe throwing, and now Dave Stewart joins him. The Astros obviously would like to get a run and hold them, but it'll be very interesting to see what the Dodgers do if the Astros don't score with Valenzuela in the leadoff position for that next inning.
Poole is 1 out of 3. He misses the bunt attempt. Strike 1. Valenzuela has thrown 97 pitches. 1 pitch into the 8th.
Now Campanis down at the bottom of your screen.
Two strikes now. Outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, Valenzuela doesn't seem to have lost a thing. Still throwing pretty hard and still got that great breaking stuff. Bob Nepper doing a little loosening for the Astros.
Base hit to right for Poole. Terry stroked that ball into right. He was jammed a little bit on that pitch, I think. And he has his second straight hit.
I think he was jammed quite a bit, and you got to give Terry a lot of credit for hitting that pitch, because Valenzuela made the pitch he wanted to make. He threw a good fastball. It was on the inside corner, and Terry just muscled it out into right field. Garner probably be bunting here. Astros, I would imagine, will play for 1 run.
Valenzuela tossed to first to try to keep Poole close. Terry with good speed. Garner bunt right side, and it's foul ball. Garner has 4 sacrifice bunts since coming to the Astros. He has a total of 6 for the year.
Of course, you're going to be doing a lot more bunting in that second spot in the lineup. That's where Garner's been since he's joined this ball club.
Another move to first. Poole is back.
Running, of course, a very difficult skill to master, particularly when you get a pitcher who's trying to prevent it.
Pop up, foul. Garvey with an effort, but no chance.
You could tell that Garvey was prepared to dive for that ball if he got close enough, but wasn't able to get that close. Now with 2 strikes, the Astros will likely take that bunt off. Garner a chance to hit away. That's a lot of fun, hitting away with 2 strikes, no balls off Valenzuela. Guerrero almost standing on the bag at third now.
Garner lays off. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Leadoff single to right by Poole. 1-1 tie, bottom of the 8th. Garner with a fly ball to right. Monday is there. 1 gone. So Poole is still at first with 1 out as Tony Scott approaches the plate. Scott looped that base hit over the head of Davey Lopes into right center field in the 6th inning to drive home the Astro run. Then Garvey homered in the 7th to tie the game. Check swing, Hopper. Valenzuela's gone to second to Russell 1. No throw back to first. So Scott becomes the runner, reaching on the fielder's choice. Poole cut down 1-6 at second base.
Fastball low and away. A check swing by Scott. And you hope that once in a while a guy will throw one away on a play like that with Valenzuela. If you didn't know better, you'd think he'd been in the league 10 years.
Here's Cruz, 0 for 3. Valenzuela keeping Scott close at first. You think he could be older than 20?
I'd say it's possible. The Astros certainly hope so.
Cruz takes ball 1. Cruz has flied to left, been called out on strikes, and bounced out to Garvey at first.
Cruz has been mostly a pull hitter this year, but the Dodgers playing him slightly around the other way.
Valenzuela due to lead off the 9th. Cruz pops this one out of play. 1-1. Poole opened with a single. After Garner flied to right, Scott forced him at second. Cruz started to go and laid off. 2 balls and a strike to count on him. Another move over there, a little flip by Valenzuela. A little more in earnest that time.
Scott that time was decoying a break to second.
Another toss over there. Astros have picked up 2 steals tonight. And they had Howe picked off in the 5th. Valenzuela with a new baseball. In the meantime, Cruz had gone after the pine tar rag. Foul ball, and the count evens at 2-2. Scott goes, and Cruz is out on strikes to retire the side. 6 strikeouts for Valenzuela. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left. On to the 9th inning, tied 1-1. We've seen the last of Fernando Valenzuela. Jay Johnstone is pinch hitting for the Dodger lefty to open the 9th inning. And the first pitch from Ryan to Johnstone is a strike. Johnstone's batting .205 with 3 homers and 6 runs batted in. 11 out of 38 as a pinch hitter, and a bouncer right back to the hill. Ryan to Cedeno, 1 gone.
Well, Valenzuela certainly lived up to his reputation tonight, pitching 8 innings and just giving up the 1 run, and the Astros are very happy that they're going to see somebody else out there on the mound in the bottom of the 9th.
Davey Lopes will be up there, top of the Los Angeles batting order. Ryan is now retired. 21 of the last 22 men to face him. The only thing he's given up, the home run by Garvey. There's a called strike to Lopes. Lopes, nothing out of 3. A strikeout victim in the 6th. One of 6 strikeouts recorded by Ryan tonight. That's a ball, 1-1. Two and 1.
Ryan trying both sides of the plate with that curveball and can't find a strike either place.
That's back into the stream. 2-2 the count. Andrew will be next. 2-2 to Lopes. On the way. Strike 3 call.
Oh, what a beautiful pitch to Wayne. The fastball appeared to be outside, and it just tailed in at the last minute and caught the corner at the knees.
7 strikeouts for Ryan. 2 outs in the Los Angeles 9th. Bases empty, and Ken Landreau steps in. Ground ball by the mound. Garcia's there to Cedeno, and we're going into the bottom of the 9th. 1, 2, 3. Dodgers out in their half of the 9th. Bottom of inning 9 coming up, tied 1-1. Laughs keep coming when that jive-talking junk man, Fred Sanford, and son Lamont start selling their wares on Channel 26. Don't miss this wheeling and dealing father and son team, starring Red Fox and Damon Wilson in Sanford and Son, 5:30 Monday through Saturday on Channel 26. Moving into the bottom of the 9th inning, the Astros and the Dodgers all tied 1-1. The Astros have out-hit Los Angeles 6-2, and the Dodgers have a new pitcher.
There he is. It's Dave Stewart. Stewart, a rookie for the Dodgers, 4-3 on the year with a .251 earned run average. He's got 6 saves, 43 in the 3rd innings, 40 hits, 14 walks, and 29 strikeouts. Stewart throws very hard.
Astros in the bottom of the 9th will have Cedeno, Howe, and then Garcia. Astros saw Stewart for an inning Saturday afternoon, and he picked up 1 strikeout, worked a perfect inning. Cedeno takes a strike. Cesar is 2 for 3 tonight. There's Garcia near the line at 3rd. About the same spot he was playing Cedeno back in the 7th when Cesar slipped that double by him.
He'll be ready this time.
Cedeno takes strike 2.
We saw Guerrero move back a little bit, and
boy, if he'd put down that bunt, he'd really been messing with Guerrero's mind.
He sure would have. But now Stewart's going to try to mess with his.
Cedeno behind on the count, 0-2. And he's out on strikes.
But the good old country fastball there.
Start Howe. Another look at that strikeout pitch to Cedeno. Riding up and in on him. A little bit up, but Cedeno couldn't afford to take the pitch. Howe single in the 5th inning. Out of play, strike 1. Garvey is protecting the line down that right side the same way Guerrero is down left side. Tie game, bottom of the 9th. Another foul ball looped into the seats back of first.
So far, Dave Stewart doesn't look like much more fun than Valenzuela. Going very hard. He got the ball by Cedeno, threw that first one by Howe, and then dropped a curveball on the outside corner.
Up and into Howe.
Stewart, 24 years old, out of Oakland, California.
Now with a drive toward right center. Landreau moving over for it though and grabs it. 2 outs.
The Dodgers had just moved Landreau from out toward left center a little bit. He was shading Howe to pull, and they moved him around the other way, and that made an easy play for him.
Well, the bases are empty. 2 gone. Kiko Garcia due to hit, but Craig Reynolds is going to pinch hit for him. So Reynolds, the left-handed batter, being brought into the game to face the right-hander Stewart. Craig finished the year batting .260 with 4 home runs and 31 RBIs. Garcia had gone 0 for 3 against the left-hander Valenzuela.
Sort of checking his lineup card. One of the reasons I think he brought the right-handed pitcher into the ballgame was so that the Astros would be forced to make some of these changes and use up some of their personnel.
Reynolds, foul ball, strike 1. Now Cedeno and Howe have been retired. Dave Stewart in relief of Fernando Valenzuela. Ground ball, Russell to his left, can't get it, base hit. So Reynolds comes off the bench and comes up with a 2-out pinch hit single. 7 Astros hits. And now Ashby will turn around and bat left-handed against Stewart. Here's another look at the Reynolds single.
Boy, he hit a good pitch. A curveball on the outside corner at the knees. He didn't exactly overpower the pitch, but he hit it sharply and right up the middle.
First time for Ashby batting left-handed tonight. Dodgers have left-hander Steve Howe in the bullpen again. Astros have right-hander Dave Smith throwing.
Of course, Ryan on deck.
Ashby, high drive, deep right field, down the line. If it's fair, Astros win. Astros win. Home run for Alan Ashby. On the first pitch from Dave Stewart, Ashby gives the Astros a 3-1 victory in the first game of the National League Western Division Championship Series.
Boy, oh boy, Dwayne, after 9 innings of almost no offense, I think that home run almost stunned the crowd. It was unbelievable. Everybody was ready to go on into the 10th inning, and all of a sudden, Alan Ashby just teed off on a Dave Stewart fastball and hit it out of the ballpark right down the right field line.
Reynolds kept it going with that pinch hit single to center. And then Ashby on the very next pitch homers into the mezzanine and right. And the Astros win it 3-1. We'll be back with the totals in just a moment.